This video shows how to sharpen a flexible boning knife so it can slice through a ripe tomato effortlessly. Start with a low grit flat whetstone. Whetstones need to be soaked in water before they are used. I store mine in a stone pond or soak the stones I am going to use at least an hour before I start. To flatten a whetstone, rub it against a fine grit wet sandpaper on a flat surface like a piece of heavy glass. I have used this flexible boning knife I am going to sharpen for over 30 years, so it has lots of wear on the surface with lots of little scratches, but the blade is in good shape without any nicks, so I can start with a 1000 grit stone. I use my whetstones often for different purposes, so having a perfectly flat stone from corner to corner is ideal for sharpening a wide plane blade, for example. But for a small flexible kitchen knife, I simply avoid the little divots and find the flat area, or I would be flattening the softer lower grit stones all day. When I sharpen the knife, I do not use the entire surface of the stone, just the part that comes in contact with the blade. A flexible boning knife is very thin, and the grind angle I use to sharpen the blade is 11% instead of the usual 15%. You always want to have the exact angle on both sides, creating a sharp point in the middle, so if your grind angle is like a regular thickness chef knife, it is too easy to roll over the edge counterproductively as you're polishing the edge, which also means it needs to be sharpened a little bit more often, and the blade will get beat up quite often with the regular use of a sharpening steel. To help find that angle, use a felt marker to highlight the edge to make it easier to see. When both grind angles come together, a burr will form along the edge. At this point, the edge is nearly sharp and time to switch to a smoother stone and start over. The harder, smoother grit stones removes less metal, so it'll take a lot longer to sharpen a knife using only high grit stones, or nearly impossible if the blade edge is not already sharp. The smoother stones remove the marks left by the lower grit stones, so it does not take very long to polish the edge to a mirror finish, about 3 minutes. When the burr is again forming along the edge, switch to a smoother stone or go back and forth along the stone to quickly remove the burr, and your blade should be razor sharp. To polish the blade further, switch to a higher grit stone. The highest grit stone can also be used to polish the remaining surface of the blade to create a fancy mirror finish. During use, the edge will roll over, creating a burr, so a sharpening steel is used to remove that burr and restore the edge, making it seem like the steel is doing the work. But after the steel is used for a while, the blade will need to be sharpened again using whetstones. A boning knife usually has a concave heel, and to sharpen this part of the knife you can use curved whetstones. The curved stones are used the same way, just the area of the stone you are using is much smaller. A boning knife needs to be very sharp, and a good test is to see if it can cut a ripe tomato using very little pressure.